just around the bend. There's a new world coming. This one's coming to an end. There's a new voice calling. You can hear it if you try. And it's growing stronger with each day that passes by. There's a brand new morning, rising clear and sweet and free. There's a new day dawning that belongs to you and me. Yes, a new world's coming, the one we've had visions of, coming in peace, coming in joy, coming in love. Yes, a new world's coming, the one we've had visions of, coming in peace, coming in joy, coming in love, coming in love, coming in
That was so worth the wait, you guys. That was wonderful.
Comic relief. You got it.
So, good afternoon. I'm Lucia Cooper-Smith. I'm your host for today, and it is a pleasure to welcome you to Sunday at the Center for Spiritual Living, Nashville. And welcome to those of you who are watching online. So today our speaker is Gregory Fisher, and Gregory is going to be talking about Daddy Divine, which is Dad Divine, about tapping into our divine masculine. So you may recall that on Mother's Day, Gregory spoke about the divine feminine. So this completes the circle for us. And welcome back to Yvonne Smith. Thank you so much. That was a beautiful song. So who is CSLN? We are an open, inclusive, New Thought spiritual community. We are a spiritual home that opens hearts, inspires dreams, and transforms lives. Our purpose is to help people live their best lives through practical spiritual teaching that teaches us the power of our thoughts and connection to spirit. Wherever you are in your journey, you are welcome here. So let's begin our service.
So as the sound of the bell settles into silence, let's enter into a sacred space together. Take a breath. Allow the stillness to open and soften, acknowledging fatherhood. Like motherhood is more than biology. It is strength, stability, and love. It lives in all and offers protection, presence, and wisdom, day after day. Feel into that. And allow this to be heard and felt in you. For there is only one power, one presence, one infinite intelligence. And it moves through all life. It is the living spirit, the divine source, and it expresses as clarity, purpose, strength, wisdom, and love. And this presence is both fathering and mothering, holding and directing. And as I am one with this presence, all life is one with this presence. My awareness of it sustains me and everyone here. It sustains this land, this planet. It sustains my awareness of it. And the divine masculine expresses in and all through humanity as courage and direction, resilience, conscious love, day in and day out. It is the law of mind made visible. And as I affirm that I walk in the steady rhythm of Spirit's guidance, I honor this Father energy within me and within all. Whether it looks like a bold leadership, a silent stability, or the strength to show up day after day in unconditional love. And any part of me that believes otherwise, I forgive it. And anyone that has ever told me otherwise, I forgive that within them. It is all innocent. And I forgive anyone, including myself, that holds on to anything other than is divine within all. As I step into this masculine energy that is me, I walk forward in strength and faith. That is my divine inheritance that I see in me in every life form, and for that, I feel immense gratitude. The balancing of masculine and feminine energy in me protects me, provides, listens, teaches and builds, shapes every soul of all the lives here today, and I give thanks for that. I'm also thankful for Ernest Holmes, Reverend Dr. Mitch, the fathers of this community, whose vision and devotion brought us together to celebrate spiritual clarity and deep personal freedom in this here and now. And in this knowing, in this confidence, I release all these words into the infinite law where they are lovingly received and perfectly fulfilled. I rest in the divine trust because I can, and I choose to. And I allow the goodness to unfold. I let God manifest through me and all those near me for the highest and best for the world. And together we say, and so it is.
All right, I wanted to wish everybody a happy Father's Day. Thank you. And to all the daddies out there. And Yvonne's got a special song today for that.
I may not be every mother's dream for her little girl, and my face may not grace the mind of everyone in the world, but that's all right as long as I can have one wish I pray. When people look inside my life, I want to hear them say, she's got her father's eyes, her father's eyes that find the good in things when good is not around, eyes that find the source of help when help just can't be found, eyes full of compassion seeing every pain, knowing what you're going through and feeling it the same, just like my Father's eyes, my Father's eyes, my Father's eyes. Just like my Father's eyes. And on that day when we will pray for all the deeds we have done, good and bad, they'll all be had to see by everyone. And when you're called to stand and tell just what you saw in me, more than anything I know, I want your words to be. She had her Father's eyes, her Father's eyes, eyes that found the good in things when good was not around, eyes that found the source of hell when hell could not be found, eyes full of compassion, seeing every pain, knowing what you're going through and feeling it the same, just like my Father's eyes, my Father's eyes, my Father's eyes, just like my Father's eyes, my Father's eyes, my Father's eyes, just like my Father's eyes.
Ron Smith.
Good morning. Oh, afternoon. Boy, old habits die hard. I'm just looking around to see who's here. Hi, everybody. Let me start out by saying Happy Gay Pride. Yeah. What? It's been interesting for me. My journey with Gay Pride has been interesting because about 30 years ago, I was one of about 15 people in Nashville that organized the first Gay Pride. And let me just say, 30 years ago, we were marching down West End Avenue praying for our lives. And I'm not kidding. It wasn't a party. It was not a dance party down by the river. But it's changed a lot since then. And I have to tell this really, I think, funny story. I got some time. So one of the people that was really instrumental in that is a woman named Penny Campbell. And she was really a leader of that movement at the time. And then subsequently, and in fact has been honored by Metro. There's a plaque in front of the house that she lived in for many years that was the first LGBTQ recognition plaque by Metro Historical Council. And I knew and loved Penny very, very well. But I do have to tell this story. So many, probably 15 years in, or maybe a little bit less. No, it's been that long. She called me one Friday at my office. I was working for the state downtown, and she called me and she said, she goes, I hate to admit this, but is this weekend gay pride? Because she didn't know, and it was. But I didn't know either. I said, I got to be honest, I'm kind of the worst homosexual in town because I have no idea. And she said, well, she goes, I think I can top that. And I said, okay, how's that? And she said, I'm actually dating a man. And I said, you're right, you win. You are the worst homosexual in town. So anyway, oh, life, it's all about transition, isn't it? I mostly kind of want to talk a little bit about gay pride, only because because I should, and secondly, because my own personal experience of being so welcomed as a very out gay man in this congregation, in this place, this community. I have never, ever felt like I needed to do anything other than show my authentic face here. And I appreciate that, and I have a little story about that too. So I had been a Southern Baptist minister from the time I was 14 till I was 30. I came out and I lost all of that, and I was a little, let's just say I might have been a little bitter. And so then someone told me about this place. I came and heard the talk that Mitch gave one Sunday. And of course, like I would say, many, if not all of you, I instantly felt like, oh my gosh, this is home. I mean, I think most of you would maybe nod your heads to just affirm. The first time you were here, you said, oh my gosh, I've been looking for this place my whole life. But I was not convinced. So I walked up to Mitch, our wonderful Mitch, and said, okay, I have just one question for you. And he's like, what's that? And I said, what has been this denomination's stance on gay and lesbian membership and inclusion since the get-go? Not just today, but from the very beginning. Because I had this thing in my head that I don't want to be a member of a place that, they finally decided, someone voted somewhere that now you're welcome. So Mitch, I think it really caught him off guard, and Mitch is not often caught off guard, and he stood there and he thought for a minute and he goes, I just don't think we've ever had a position. He goes, is a non-position a position? I'm like, yes, it absolutely works for me. And he said, Raymond Charles Barker, who was one of really the founders, one of Ernest Holmes' early companions and collaborators, and has written many books and is a big part of the instruction for becoming a practitioner. His book, what is it called? The Power of Decision, is that it? I'm looking at Laura because I know she would know. It's one of the finest books. If you haven't read it, you really should. The Power of Decision by Raymond Charles Barker. But he was an out gay man in the 40s, and pastored the Manhattan Church of Religious Science for decades. So he goes, I think it's fair to say we don't have a position that, that would in any way offend you. And then Mitch and I had a kind of an interesting journey together in this regard, because while I came and I was unflinching in my willingness or my desire to be able to be fully accepted but also fully out, I don't think he knew quite what to do with that sometimes. And, being Mitch, he was going to be honest about that. And then there was the Sunday. I'm going to cry because I'm a crier. I walked up to him, he was at the back, and I walked up to him, and he got this look on his face that let me know something had shifted. And he leaned forward and kissed me on the cheek and said, I just want you to know how much I love you. And I was like, journey complete. It just felt that way, like we had been each other's teacher in some regards in this journey. So anyway, thank you, CSLN, and happy Pride. Yeah. On the other hand, it's Father's Day, so happy Father's Day. Happy Father's Day. And what does that mean to you? Many of us have stories with fathers that are magnificent, fantastic fathers, that we really feel like we want to honor today. And, you know, if they're still living and still with us, hopefully you will reach out. Hopefully you will maybe even have some opportunity for some face-to-face time so that you can actually express that gratitude. Some of us had difficult relationships with our fathers. And I've found, and it's so interesting that this year I'm speaking on Mother's Day and Father's Day, many of us had challenging relationships. And so for us, this day could be actually what we call triggering. It's like, I don't know, this is bringing up a whole lot, and I don't know quite how to feel about it. And that could be true for me. I'm actually going to say there are 7 people, 6, and then one gets 2 shots at it, who I have to acknowledge as fathers. My biological father was not married to my biological mother. And in fact, she was married to someone else. This gets a little bit tawdry. It's very complicated. So he left before I was born because her husband was on his way home from being overseas in the army. I know. Look, everyone's going, I'm seeing mouths agape. So he left. Then my biological mother's father came. So when I was born, his name was on my birth certificate because, you know, it was the 50s. So I was with them for 3 years. And then things got complicated because he was pretty abusive to this child that was not his, but that he was being named the father. So here's what I like to say. Lionel Volker, my biological father, gave me DNA. So grateful for that. Jerry May, who was my biological mother's father or husband, was my father who gave me some lessons and some things to overcome. Dick Fisher, who was my you're going to need a map here in a minute, was my biological mother's sister's husband. So I was adopted by my aunt and uncle. So then he became my father and was really a terrifying monster. So more lessons to learn. Then at the age of 13, I moved in with my grandparents, my biological mother and my adoptive mother's parents, and Alva Tennyson became the sweetest man ever in my life. Really grateful for him, right? Then I had a mentor, a minister when I was in high school and afterward, a man named Ron Payne, who really taught me so much about strength of conviction. Really taught me a lot about what it is to believe in something so strongly that you would live your life for that conviction. So I give honor to him. And then Mitch Johnson, who really for 30 years has been a father figure for me. Yes. Then, interestingly, a few years ago, 10 years ago, I found out about Lionel Volker and who he was. He was already passed. I found out about his family. I found out I had a biological half-brother and half-sister. And I have come back into my life, and it's been it's been like a renaissance of what family can be. They've been so embracing. So I want to honor him a second time because I kind of think he orchestrated all of that from behind the veil. So anyway, that's my Father's Day story. And I wonder if hearing that from me makes you have some ideas about what would it look like for me to honor all of the father figures in life. Now, all of those people literally at some point were called a daddy, a papa figure, a father figure for me. But looking around in your life, you know, getting in there and kind of looking around, What father figures do you find who were men, and I'm even going to say, and women, who were father figures to you? Really embodied masculine energy, masculine ways of being, and showed you the advantages of embracing that which in you is considered the divine masculine. We're going to talk some more about that. Now, I also feel like I need to give you an apology today, because I think for a while I've really been wrestling with the difference between divine masculinity and patriarchy. They are not the same thing, it turns out. I think in my confusion and my absolute abhorrence for patriarchy, I've really spoken negatively about masculine energy. So I think I need to apologize for that, because I've done some of it from this lectern, and maybe even some of it on Mother's Day. But it was interesting this week as I was thinking, what am I going to say about divine masculine that isn't going to be difficult to hear? And, you know, do you ever have any of those moments where you feel like there's a voice in your head that tells you something you didn't know? And as I was thinking about that, I literally heard a voice in my head say, you know, divine masculinity and patriarchy aren't the same thing. And I was like, what? They're not? Tell me more. So I've had the opportunity this week or so to really kind of delve into that a bit, because it's important to know the difference, turns out. Especially, I think, in this time that we're living in right now, where I do believe that patriarchy has been so embraced in our culture, and worldwide, not just our culture. Patriarchy has been so embraced that it kind of now does have a bad rap. And I also think we're in a moment in our country, at least, where it is sort of grasping for maintaining its hold on our culture. So patriarchy is defined as, hang on, there it is, a system of government or culture in which the father or males hold the power and women are excluded from it. Well, that's pretty blunt. Yeah. A system of government or family or culture where men have all the power and women have none or very little. You know, it's this idea that masculine ways of being are to be embraced and feminine ways of being are weak. You know, so the strength of masculinity becomes so honored and privileged that everyone that's not seen as or using those ways of being are somehow less important and certainly have less power. So patriarchy, I got to be honest with you. Again, I think I've really misunderstood this, and I've spoken about it, and so I need to turn that around. On the other hand, divine masculinity is something very different, and the truth is, whether our sex or even our gender is aligned with male, it doesn't, or female, it doesn't mean I don't embody both masculine and feminine energy. the question is, and the challenge is, and what I hope we all leave here today saying is, what would it look like for me to really sit down with maybe a journal or something and write about it? Write about me. What does it look like for me to embrace that part of me which is energized by the divine masculine? And what does it look like for me to know and understand the part of me that is energized and motivated and driven by feminine, the divine feminine way of being? And what's the balance that I need to have? Here's what's also interesting. We find out that our personality, which, by the way, is what makes us a unique expression of the divine. You know, I'm looking at my beloved Dottie. I'm not Dottie. I love Dottie. I'm not her, right? I need to say, Dottie, you go and be the best Dottie you can be, right? And I know that she wants the same thing for me. And that's going to look different, and it's possibly going to look different because of this combination of how masculine and feminine energy shows up in me, how I lean into it, what I'm able to bring of those energies into any given situation with awareness. Now, people, here's what we have got to know. If you know nothing else from today's talk, know this. Awareness is everything. Awareness is everything. See, I work, during the week as a counselor and a therapist with people, and here's what I find. Most of the suffering in their lives, and by the way, ours, we're just not paying someone to help us with it. Most of the suffering in our life is due to our lack of awareness. And I'm not just talking about in general, I'm talking about moment to moment. Moment to moment. We call this thing science of mind. Guess why? Because what we're learning here is what I think is what I get. And what I'm thinking has to be guided by awareness. What's going on? Where am I in it? What's my part? How must I respond? Not react. See, when we're not in awareness, all we keep doing is running around reacting to all the stuff that's going on. And I'm going to tell you, your reactions, your knee-jerk responses are going to almost always be wrong. Or at least not the highest and best that you have to offer. Right? I will do a lot of crazy stuff when I'm just reacting. When I'm reacting out of awareness. And here's what awareness requires: some quiet. First, some insight. Something's going on. Take a moment. Get centered. Get quiet. Be inquisitive. Do I know what's going on? Is what I'm perceiving going on true? Sometimes our perceptions aren't clear, and they are not even right. So, here's what I think I'm seeing. Taking a pause, deep breath. The Buddhists call it the sacred pause. I'm not going to react here. I'm going to pause. Then I'm going to inquire. Is what I'm perceiving true? If it is, what needs to be my intervention? What needs to be my response to this situation, good or bad? Then how do I integrate this into how I live my life? Not just this moment. How do I integrate this? And then what is my investment going forward? How do I want this to carry on in my life, carry out my life? Insight, interlude, inquiry, intervention, integration, investment. Oh, they all start with IN. I'm so clever. You're supposed to laugh when I say that. But that kind of awareness is intentional. It's intentional. I don't get up in the morning and just go willy-nilly falling into my day. I have to draw myself to this. In the Four Agreements, Don Miguel Ruiz talks about the fourth agreement is always do your best. And he says the first thing you have to know before you can always do your best is I have to commit to it every day. I wake up and I say I intend to do my best today. It won't be perfect, by the way, but I intend to do my best today. I intend to live in awareness. Okay, here are the attributes of the divine masculine, and we're going to talk a little bit about each of them. I'm looking at the clock. First, responsible. The divine masculine is responsible. It takes responsibility for itself and for those around it to the extent that it can. So responsible. Doesn't try to shun responsibility. It doesn't try to put it off on someone else. It is adventurous. I see what's happening now as a great opportunity, a great adventure. This is going to be fun. The difference between terrified and exhilarated is a choice, right? So adventurous, I'm choosing to make this exhilarating. Courageous. Courage, which, by the way, is not the absence of fear. Courage is also a choice. Yeah, I could be terrified, I could be afraid, I could be paralyzed, or I could choose to be adventurous, to be courageous. It's solutions-oriented. Solutions-oriented. It's always looking for the opportunity to resolve things, to respond in a way that is helpful, meaningful. Solutions-oriented. It's logical. It's logical. Masculine energy is logical. It's looking for a logical answer, not going with something that's more mysterious, which, by the way, would be the feminine. Yeah. It's pursuant. Pursuant. It's looking for the opportunity to move things forward, to pursue, to investigate, to gather more information. It's protective. It's protective of itself. It's protective of what it believes. It's protective of those around it. Yeah, it's grounded. It's grounded. Masculine energy is the part of us that goes, whew. The ground below me. I'm stable here. It's giving and providing. Hunter-gatherer stuff. Yeah, I need to provide for myself, for the people around me, for the life we want. And so to do that, I'm going to have to gather and then provide. It's action-oriented, and it leads. It sets boundaries. It's steadfast. I feel like it makes me want to stand up, throw my shoulders back, and puff my chest out. I'm all these things, right? I'm going to read through them again real quick. Responsible, adventurous, courageous, solutions-oriented, logical, pursuant, protective, grounded, giving, providing, action-oriented, leading, boundary-setting, steadfast, and vulnerable. Vulnerable. Wait. How can you say all that other stuff, which all sounds like this, and then say, and vulnerable? Which is this. Open, willing to be honest, willing to share. I don't know, did you know vulnerability takes a great deal of courage? Vulnerability, really, real vulnerability, isn't weakness. It actually is the product of all that other stuff. See, I can just speak with honesty, with courage. I love that. Quickly, because time flies. And I cannot get this page turned. Well, wow, that is... Okay, here it comes. So, if we can acknowledge that we are all really a balance of masculine and feminine, regardless of our sex or our gender, then we can take a look real quick again at the divine feminine, which I'm going to read through really quick. Loving, intuitive, nurturing, community-focused, collaborative, sensual, creative, magnetic, compassionate, healing. It can be destructive, making room for the new, embracing darkness, which, kind of shocked me when I first read that. But then I'm like, oh, embracing darkness. It's looking for the light in every situation. Able to descend, knowing that ascension is possible. Transformative, chaos. Access to the conscious, mysterious, and everlasting. Now, if you compare those two lists, you will see that there's actually some overlap, right? It's less about that they're not the same quality. It's more about a different approach to the same thing, right? So in this thing of saying we're looking for balance, we're looking for the ways that it can do this. Flow. Oh yes, that's a place where I need to stand up and fight. That's a place where I might need to wait, stand back, watch, be driven by something that isn't logic, but is in fact coming from here, embracing the mystery. So we are all both of these things. We just have to look for how they are to show up in me with my uniqueness, my personality, and maybe even the sex that I have, and my gender that I have embraced. How does that show up? With that. But am I willing to let go of everything I've been told about what I have to be, how I have to look, how I have to speak, how I have to walk, and how I might use all of that as an adaptive strategy for how to feel safe, like I belong, like I have worth, and it will masquerade as awareness. Oh. See, we've learned these things. But what if we were willing to let them go? What if today we were all brave enough to say, I'm letting all of what I've been told I have to be go, to find out what I would look like as a balanced human being, embracing and acknowledging and honoring both the masculine and feminine ways of being that are part of my divine birthright. My divine birthright, regardless of the body I've got or the gender that I think I am able to embrace most comfortably. Here's my last point today. In this world where the patriarchy has been so strongly embraced and is so, I think, desperately trying to rear its head, let's make sure that we are not the oppressed becoming the oppressor. As things shift, and I think they are, and I think they must, let's make sure that we're not some category, for lack of a better word, female, maybe gay, whatever, that might have been being oppressed by this very notion of patriarchy. And as we work to balance this cultural attachment to gender and to masculine ways of being, that we don't become the oppressors. Because I've seen it happen, and so have you. And I will say, and this might get me in a little trouble, but I don't care. It's possible that some of what's happening right now, the reaction you're seeing literally in the streets, is because in our desire to see a shift, the pendulum has swung in such a way that now masculinity is being vilified. Right? There has to be a middle place. You know, this pendulum thing swings like this. And it's possible we've had a few years, cancel culture, some of the Me Too, and I know that gets me into trouble if I don't want to in any way put that down, but it has led to some ways of being that have made maybe men feel like they're in danger. So let's find a way to embrace a kinder and less patriarchal culture that isn't in any way making anybody else wrong. Not wrong. Misguided. Innocently misunderstanding sometimes. But I'm going to use the word innocently because here's the thing. You know, none of us do the wrong thing because we think it's the wrong thing to do. Ever notice that? I mean, it's not like I got up this morning and said, you know, I think what the absolute worst thing to do would be this, and I'm going to do it. We don't do that. We innocently choose what we think is the right thing, and sometimes it's not. And then we suffer the consequences of that, hopefully, and we acknowledge it and we amend it, right? So, find balance. As a congregation, as a community, may we embrace balance. May we be an oasis in this world and everything that's happening out there that says, we embrace the balance of the masculine and the feminine. No one's wrong. No one's righter. We're all just in this together. Happy Father's Day. Thank you.
Thank you, Gregory. Well, now it's time to give back to what serves us. If something has touched you today, there are many ways you can share the love with us, and we are grateful for your offering. I'd like to ask our ushers to come forward now. Thank you to Mary Isla and Cynthia for volunteering today. In addition to the baskets being passed, there are several other ways we can accept your gift, including going to our website to donate or using the QR code at the desk in the lobby or using a credit card in our bookstore. And for our online viewers, there's a link on the screen that you are welcome to use, or you could always mail it to our P.O. box, which is found on our website. So I'd like to put our gratitude statement up on the screen, and please say with me, divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is. Thank you for your loving gifts.
Twinkle big, my little star, so I won't wonder how you are. Live your life in such a way that you smile and laugh every day. Shine your light so all can see. Rest you want your privacy. Love yourself and know your worth. Tread lightly upon Mother Earth. Love so big, love so strong, love out loud, be willing to be wrong. Celebrate the here and now. The rest will happen anyhow. Don't insist on being nation. May you recognize when you feel freedom and love. Twinkle big, my superstar. I hope you learn to play guitar. Make mistakes with all your might, and everything will be alright. Love so big, love so strong, love out loud. Be willing to be wrong. Love so big, love so strong, love out loud. Willing to be wrong. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
So thank you again, Gregory, for helping us to reflect on how our mothers, fathers, mother figures, father figures have influenced our lives, and the qualities of the masculine and feminine can be expressed with balance in our lives. So thank you for that, a wonderful talk. And thank you to Yvonne Smith and to our band, Larry Faragali, Mark Wenner on drums, and Mark Horowitz on keyboard. So thank you to all of you. As always, the music was wonderful today. So thank you also to the AV team and everybody else who has made our service happen today. So for those of you who are late, I already covered the announcements. We got that out of the way up front. So we're going to jump into our closing. So before we close our service, we'd like to welcome our visitors. We won't ask you to stand or anything like that, but if you want to just give a wave, we'll know who you are and we'll know to come say hello to you. And you're invited to join us in the Fellowship Hall for some light refreshments. Thank you to Kim Stokes today for being our hospitality volunteer. Yes, I'm going to get to that. Thank you. Gregory is reminding me that there are Father's Day roses here for all the men in our group today, all the men that, whether you're a father or you're a father figure in someone's life, and trust me, even if you're not a dad and did not have a child, you are a father figure in someone's life. And so we welcome all of you to please take a rose today for us to say thank you for your energy. And one quick reminder, we do have our joint service next Sunday at 11 a.m., not 12, followed by the potluck. And so reminder to come early. For anyone, both new and those of you who have been coming for a while, if any of you have any questions about what we teach or just want to hear more about today's talk, please join Tanya and myself over on this side of the room to answer any questions regarding our teaching. And if you're watching online, please subscribe and give us a thumbs up. It really does help the algorithm and helps us show up with more presence online. And please feel free to share our service with your friends today. I'd like to ask our practitioners, as well as if Reverend Lynn is still in the room, I'd love to invite all of you to come up front for our closing affirmative prayer. If there's something that you are dealing with or something that you want to attract in your life related to your health, your relationships, your career, money, please don't leave today without asking one of these practitioners to pray with you as soon as the service is over. Or you can fill out a prayer request form and put it in the secure box on the table outside the meditation room and in the lobby. And if you're watching online, you can go to our website and choose practitioners and send a message to one of us. So please join with me for our closing affirmative prayer. I'm going to say it in the first person and ask you to make it personal to you. I invite you to close your eyes and take a deep breath. And take another one. And join with me in knowing that there is one power, one intelligence, one God. It is all there is. It is the one creator. As I was created from it, I am an expression of it and express its unlimited abundance. I affirm that everything that exists in the infinite field of possibilities already exists in the mind of God. It is already created. So anything in my heart's desire exists, and I affirm receiving it. I am a divine being of light. I am who I came on this earth to be. I am whole, perfect, and complete exactly as I am. I embrace the balance of masculine and feminine in me, shining so brightly. I show up in this world as my truest essence. I show up as spirit, expressing the love, the kindness, the compassion that this world calls for right now. I see the divine in me. I see the divine in others, the face of God, and I shine that light in the world. It is with an abundance of gratitude that I speak these words, knowing that what I have spoken and even more is already done. I release my word to the law that responds to every thought, every word, and says yes. I release and let go. It is done. And together we say, and so it is. So let's put a little love in our hearts and stand for our closing song.
Pick up your fellow man, lend him a helping hand, put a little love in your heart. You see it's getting late, oh please don't hesitate, put a little love in your heart. And the world will be a better place, and the world will be a better place for you and me. Just wait. Just a look around, and if you're looking down, put a love in your heart. But when you decide, kindness will be your guide. Put a love in your heart, and the world will be a better place, and the world will be a better place for you and me. Just wait.
This program is a service of the Center for Spiritual Living Nashville. May your life be filled with joy and prosperity in every way. Learn more about our programs or contact one of our practitioners at our website, cslnashville.org. You may also want to follow us on Facebook at CSLNASH. You can make a big difference with your financial gift at lovecsln.com. Please share the link to this program with a friend and join us again next Sunday. Have a wonderful week.